consequences when people stop setting goals and dreaming dreams. There's consequences when men stop speaking God's plan over their children. There's consequences when men hide in caves and get quiet and stoic and turn inward. There's consequences. A lot of that is in our culture right now.
Hey guys, welcome to Five Star Man Champions live stream. I'm your host, Neil Kennedy. I'm glad that you are here. It's great to see you. I'm actually in Orlando, Florida tonight, but I have a special treat for you, and I'll introduce that in just a moment. I want to make sure that you put down on your calendar August 15th and 16th in Louisville, Kentucky. We're having the Authentic Five Star Man Conference, and I'm going to tell you something. This is going to be a special weekend. You need to plan to be there. I know that we have guys coming from all different directions to come to Louisville. It's a special event. Dr. Bob Rogers and our host Paul Woods will be there. And we have George Sawyer and Derry Drawn and Danny Duvall and Ted Miller, myself, and so many others that are going to be there. And we're going to have an incredible event. And I want to make sure that you're there. We are going to announce and strategize and launch the next phase of what I believe God has for us as a movement of Five Star Man, the voice really of authentic manhood. And so I was just recently, last Friday, I was in church at Chapel Hill in Douglasville, Georgia. 250, 300 men gathered around the altar, having an incredible encounter with God. I love Church at Chapel Hill. Pastor Dave Devine has hosted us many times. In fact, the first time that we ever introduced the book Five Star Man was at Church at Chapel Hill. No one had ever received the book until we were there at that encounter. And so that's what, 14, 15 years ago. So make sure that you put down on your calendar August 15th and 16th. We have a lot of other events coming up, but I want to introduce what's happening tonight. I am in Orlando, and so I rarely do this, but I wanted to take this opportunity to share with you an interview that I had during my visit at Zeal Church in Nashville, Tennessee. What a great church. Pastor JD and Leah Ost are doing. They built a great church, couple, maybe 2,000-3,000 people there in Nashville and also in Franklin, opening soon. So it's a great church. I sat down, I did an interview with my host, Phil C., and I want to share that interview with you. I hope that you enjoy it. Make sure that you encourage and engage one another during the interview. I need you to step up and be the voice of authentic manhood tonight, and I will see you soon.
What are you living for? Are you going to live for today's passions? Or are you going to fulfill a legacy that your children can have a memory of you, that he's a man of God? Your daily commute needs to become your communion with God. The Bible says that 400 in debt, discontent, and dissatisfied men gathered around him, and David became their leader. Those same men who were once in debt, discontent, and dissatisfied with life are the same men who became the mighty men of David, who did great exploits. I believe that you have greatness in you.
Thanks for tuning in. My name is Phil. I get the honor of introducing to you today Neil Kennedy, and a remarkable leader, a family man, an author to 15 phenomenal books, some of which span multiple genres: business, fatherhood, prayer, addiction, biblical finances, all focused on helping men. And you're the founder of FivestarMan.com, reaching over 250,000 men worldwide so far and counting. And all of that, the sole goal is to empower men to pursue personal growth and reach their purpose. Welcome, Neil.
Well, I'm excited about being here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Well, let's get right into it. I mentioned Five Star Man, the Five Star Man platform. it has inspired countless men to pursue authentic biblical manhood. So, how did all that begin? What sparked the passion for this movement?
Well, it was a moment in my life. I was trying to pray through, figure out my next stage. I feel like it was a God setup, to be honest with you. I wasn't raised under my father, so I had that to deal with. I got into ministry, planted a couple churches, helped manage a large mega church. And I was praying about the next step, and God spoke to me. To be honest with you, just a spiritual moment where He said to me very clearly, I want you to build a movement to resurrect authentic and biblical manhood. And when I heard that, I wrote it down and just kind of meditate on it. And the key word there was movement. He didn't say ministry. Everything before was a ministry.
Yeah.
Everything was all ministry driven. A movement is different. A movement is multiple voices speaking the same message to influence cultural change. So with that mandate, I'm like, okay, how do we do this? This is a big endeavor. So I'm writing this down, thinking about it, praying about it. And the Lord said, focus on men's purposes and He'll cast off what constrains him. Phil, 99% of men's efforts, strategies, ministries are focused on the Achilles heel of men, porn. So everyone's going after every man's battle. The problem is porn is a byproduct of a fallen heart. It's not the cause of the fallen heart.
Yeah.
That's what Proverbs says. And so with that, when He said to me, focus on men's purposes and He'll cast off what constrain them, I begin to see, okay, there's a secret there. So I begin to dig deep, and all of a sudden, I begin to see there's some things that I needed to know my whole life, and all of a sudden was right there before me. And if you don't mind, let me just kind of plow this out for a moment.
please.
So there's 3 words in Scripture that are used for men. The first is Adam or Adam, and that can be used for mankind. So, and that's where we get, the creation of Adam. But then in Genesis chapter 2, God says it's not good for Adam to be alone. So He extracts out of Adam the female portion. So the female portion of Adam is now extracted, and she is called Isha, and man is now called Ish. And when you look at that, all of a sudden you're seeing there's a distinction in these persons. You've got a masculine male as opposed to the woman. You've got a feminine as opposed to the man. They're not in competition. They're in a complementary design.
That's good.
And so with that, when they come back together, they're one. Okay, I know there's a lot of teaching here, and I won't go into it, but what I want you to see is in Ish, I discovered all of these amazing descriptives. The original intent of man is hidden secretly right there in the definition of Ish. You see this in Proverbs 20, verse 5. The purposes of a man are deep waters, a man of understanding draws them out. It's there that you see that word for man is Ish. And all of a sudden I begin to see citizen, man of faith, priest, businessman, champion, valiant, courageous, gallant. And so all of these descriptives, I began to look and I'm like, wait a minute, there's really 5 messages that are in this definition. And that's where the term 5-star man came from. Star being a message, 5 being, the category, and then man being Ish. And that's what launched me to write the book 5-Star Man and launch the movement. And it was all built on these purposes. And so as men discover these purposes, all of a sudden life becomes passionate in the pursuit of why did God make me? What's the original intent? Why was I born? Because, Dr. Miles Monroe always said, when the purpose is unknown, abuse is inevitable. So if you don't know the purpose that the Creator made you, you're not going to fulfill His original intent.
Yeah.
So that's the message of 5-Star Man. That's what we began with, and it's been phenomenal. So we put those in categories: real easy, adventurous spirit, entrepreneurial drive, gallant in relationships, being a man of faith, faithful in character, and then living and leaving a legacy. So we call that a philanthropic cause. In other words, man's not driven for success alone. All of a sudden, now life has significance. Yeah. Ecclesiastes says that God placed eternity within the heart of man. So it's always in the heart that we go back to. What's in the heart of man? And so that's where we direct our message. That's why men lean in, and that's why men are passionately pursuing this.
Man, I love hearing about. I didn't know all about just the root of that, and I love that you talked about even that earlier about it's not just focusing on the one thing, like what you said, porn, but getting back to the root, and that's the purpose. And I think that's incredible. So there's something a part of 5-Star Man, and it's the 45-day challenge. I love this challenge. It's a big part of what 5-Star Man is all about. What sets this apart? Talk about this challenge. Talk about what sets it apart, and what have you seen in men who go through this as part of the challenge?
Yeah, what we wanted to do is, we had this message, and this message, when you communicate purposes, men lean in. Back to Proverbs 20, the purposes of man are deep waters, man of understanding draws. And so when you're speaking to those purposes, men lean into the message. Okay, the message is good and great, but all of a sudden I began to pray. I said, God, I've got this message, but I can't travel enough. I can't do it alone.
Yeah.
You told me to build a movement. How do we do this? How do we actually have a strategy to make this happen? Yeah. And the Holy Spirit told me to go to Habakkuk 2:2. And I thought, there's really not much new in Habakkuk 2:2. But I went ahead and obeyed. I picked up my phone, picked up YouVersion, go to Habakkuk 2:2, and it says, write the message plainly on tablets. And Phil, I'm looking at a tablet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute, it can't be this simple.
Sure.
Well, with that simplicity, so the message, so that the runner can carry the correct message to others. And I begin to say, okay, here it is. I felt a little silly that it took a lot of prayer and fasting to get here. But when I discovered that, I realized, okay, we're not going to build 5starman.com just to be an informational site. We're going to build an interactive tool to help a man discover his purposes and then have directional intent to fulfill his destiny. And that's where the 45-day came in. The 45-day challenge is not just a physical challenge. We've all done those. And a lot of men are really encouraged by them and strengthened by them, obviously. But Paul said that physical exercise is of some value, but training of righteousness is a value of this life and the life to come. So what we did with the 45-day challenge is, yes, we focus on the adventurous spirit. That's the physical, so that you're conditioned to fulfill your purpose. You're able to, protect your family, and you're physically fit for that to happen. We're going to focus on your entrepreneurial drive. We're going to focus on your business, getting the money thing right. We're going to focus on your relationships, being gallant, treating older women as your mother, younger women as your daughter, peers as your sister, reserving the intimacy of your eyes only for your wife. That's what Job said, Job 31. And then we're going to focus on your walk with God. Your daily commute becomes communion. And so that a man can, as he's going to work, spend his time in prayer. And we're going to teach and train that. And then we're going to also say, hey, what are you living for? Are you going to live for today's passions? Or are you going to fulfill a legacy that your children can have a memory of you, that he's a man of God? And so with the 45-day challenge, what we do is every day is one of those purposes fleshed out. And it is a challenge. It's not for the faint of heart, but I'm telling you, the transformation has been remarkable.
Stick on that point just for a second. Why make it not for the faint of heart? Why not just make it that anybody can pick up? Why not make it easy in the sense of, yeah, here it is. I set the table for you. Come and eat.
Is anything of value easy? Is anything, and I believe that men are worth the challenge. I believe that we need to really go deep and dig deep. I think of, I wrote a book called Leave the Cave, and it's all about David when he went into the cave of Adullam. The Bible says that 400 in debt, discontent, dissatisfied men gathered around him, and David became their leader. And I think of those men when I think about the 45-day challenge, because those men were the outcast of society. They were the mavericks. They were the rejects. The political system hated them. And they heard about David. David was a prophet. He was anointed. He was called. And yet everyone was against him. So they gather in this stronghold called of Adullam. And all of a sudden, David begins to, speak the word through his Psalms. And he all of a sudden began to prophesy over men. And those same men who were once in debt, discontent, dissatisfied with life are the same men who became the mighty men of David, who did great exploits. I believe that you have greatness in you. And my job as a man, as a leader, is to draw that out so that you can run your race, you can accomplish your vision, what God wants you to do. You may have had some setbacks, you may have had some challenges, you may have had divorces, and all of those things that come with life outside of purpose. But I believe that God still has a message in you that has to get out. The 45-day challenge fleshes that out.
And I love how it started. You said on a tablet. And it's even while we're doing this, like to reach men in any way possible, to reach them through the ability of media. The ecosystem of 5-Star Man is large. It takes men deep within understanding their purpose. But just giving us the 30,000-foot view, what is that process look like? Someone walking through that.
We wanted to make it simple because that's what Habakkuk tells us, write the vision, make it plain so that a person can hear it and run with it. So what we want to do is we want to make it so simple that it's easy to carry. You don't have to carry the whole ecosystem. So what you want to do is simply start with the 45-day challenge. As you go through the 45-day challenge, you're going to be built up to the point where then all of a sudden the expressions become natural. So this is not a program that you're performing. This is actually transforming you to be the man that becomes habitual. This is just who you are. Here's the key. We're not trying to make you a 5-star man. We're trying to reveal the 5-star man that you already are.
That's good.
That's the game changer. And all we're doing is giving you the tools to do that. 45-day challenge is the beginning, and don't start anything else. Just do that, and you'll see what happens.
Yeah, you have purpose in you. We're just pulling it out.
Exactly. You're not going to be conformed into what we think a man of God should look like. We're just simply going to say, hey, the purposes are already there. We're just going to give you understanding for them.
You host live events each year, and that's including the Authentic conferences that happens multiple times a year and all across the nation. And I'm sure that that's huge in the way of taking personal growth and bringing in community. What can men expect from these kind of events when it comes to the impact that community has?
Yeah, the live events are so vital because what we've done is in the building of the 5-Star Man system. And again, it's interactive. So here's what the Lord kind of laid out for our strategy. The first thing is Hebrews 3:13. As long as it's called today, encourage one another so that men are not harmed by sin's deception. So I knew, okay, we've got to encourage men. Men are going through it. Men are challenged. Men are facing the pressures of finances, the anxieties that men deal with. And a lot of men just kind of hold it in. They don't flesh it out, don't deal with it. So we want to give men a word of encouragement. That's why we created thedailychampion.com. And so we have, 250,000 men that are reading that every day or watching or listening to it as they're going to work. And again, what we say is, listen, your daily commute needs to become your communion with God.
Yeah, I like that.
It's a lot to ask a guy to, hey, show up at such and such place at 5 o'clock and pray before you go work 12 hours. So what we're saying is, hey, as you're going, why don't you spend some time in prayer? Here's a tool that we can help you with that, the Daily Champion. So as you're going, and then we encourage you to read, watch the Daily Champion, and then jump over to get a chapter of Proverbs. Get some wisdom for the day. So as you're going to work, work's part of your purpose.
Yeah.
Work is worship. Let's flesh that out, win in that battle. And then when you're going home, get prepared to be a husband, get to be prepared to be a father. So we created the Daily Champion, and man, it's been remarkable what God has done with that. Well, then we created Champion You Life. And now that's where we bank a lot of curriculum, specific topics that men need to deal with. And we deal with everything: marriage, we deal with money, we deal with faith, we deal with prayer, all of that. And then we invite men, champions, to be part of an exclusive partner community. And it's remarkable. And all of that's important, but there's this special event.
Yeah.
Actually, God told Moses in Exodus 35, he says, 3 times a year, have the men appear before me. And when they do, I'm going to enlarge their territory. I'm going to protect their land. No one's going to covet their property if the men will come together and have an encounter with me. So with that, we launched authentic 5-Star Man conferences. So they're regional. And as we have these conferences, we're able to gather face to face, have all of these distant relationships through the tablet. All of a sudden now, these are the closest, most powerful relationships we've ever seen. It's remarkable what God is doing. We go to, we have church conferences and things, but there's nothing more powerful than what we're seeing at the authentic conference is amazing.
And I'd imagine that, they've been going through these challenges, going through the tablet, and then coming together. They already have a sense of kind of those walls broken down. That when they're coming together, they're like, we're all on mission, all walking in the same purpose for each other. So it kind of, I'm sure it just feels, wow, I like what it's called, authentic. It's like they're able to be themselves walking right into it.
It's really remarkable because what's happening with what we call the Circle of Champions, and that's that partner community. And that came out of necessity. I have this thing, when you face a closed door, it's not a threat to you, it's a leading. And so I'm like, okay, if I'm experiencing a closed door and God still wants me to accomplish my purpose, I don't just sit back and give up. I'm thinking, okay, there must be a leading here. And what happened is, Facebook threw me in jail. Twitter permanently deleted me. I had some warnings on YouTube, not because I was political, but because we were just promoting authentic manhood. And out of that block came the idea, you know what? We need to build our own community. Yeah. Now what's happening is these guys are building relationships on the Circle of Champion. And not only have they partnered with us to be a movement, but they're partnering with others. And these men are becoming friends, and some are doing business together. It's just been amazing what's happening. This community, I think it's going to be the best thing we've ever done in the long term, because when we have a prayer, it's private, it's confidential, it's on that platform, and a prayer request goes up, and men are responding and interceding and praying. It's amazing. We publish articles that's just exclusively for them. It's been one of the things that I look forward to every day. My goal is that the first thing that men do when they pick up the phone is go to the Circle of Champions and, get encouragement.
Yeah. And can you talk and just give them a little snippet of the Circle of Champions? Because I know when you go through the 45-day challenge, you receive something. And I may just be speaking, I think I could speak for all men when I say I kind of like accolades that I'm reaching for, but it turns into multiplication. Talk about that a little.
Oh, that's a great question. And I'm really glad you brought it up, because at the end of the 45-day challenge, we designed really what the Marines have really mastered, and that's that challenge coin.
Yeah, I love this.
And that challenge coin is weighty. It's valuable. It's not something that you're going to take out golfing and use as a ball marker. This is a display piece. And what we're hearing is businessmen, owners of oil companies, bankers, putting it on their desk. it becomes a conversation piece. Guy walks in, sees that, and says, "What is this?" Well, all of a sudden now, this guy can invite his friends, coworkers, family members to go through the 45-day with him and do a repeat of the challenge, because there's going to be challenges the second, third, fourth time you go through. And all of a sudden, what's happening right now, Phil, is we have about 3,000 men that have already taken the challenge. Now they're going out getting 5 guys, and we have a group dashboard. They can sign up their group and walk those guys through. Now, what we do is we tell guys, we train guys very, very carefully. It's not your job to hold them accountable. It's your job to walk in agreement.
That's good.
Now, let me explain it. To hold you accountable means that I'm going to pick up the phone, call you every day. Hey, did you have time in prayer? Did you beat your wife? Did you pay your bills? And it's, you know what? The next day when your phone rings, you may answer it out of obligation, but the third, fourth, you're going to forget it, man. I just can't carry that weight today. And so what I learned was every man that ever asked me to hold him accountable stopped taking my call. And so I said, something's wrong with this picture. And again, 90% of all men's efforts are built on this false premise of we can hold each other accountable, and we can't. If you'll lie to me, you'll lie. If you'll lie to God, you'll lie to me any day of the week. So what we did is, hey, what happens, like what Amos, the prophet Amos said, how can two walk together unless they agree in the destination? So what we're saying is, hey, let's walk in agreement. If we're walking in agreement, we're shoulder to shoulder facing the challenge. If we're accountable, then you're over me and you're a peer, and that kind of perverts the relationship. So what we're going to do is we walk in agreement with men, and we give them this challenge coin. We have this multiplication. And man, when you see that happening, it's unbelievable, the momentum shift that has happened with the 45-day challenge.
Yeah, that's incredible. The exponential multiplication is great. I mean, one gets it, bring 5 with, who then bring 5 with. I mean, that's why you've seen so much growth already. And there's still so much growth to come. So talk about that. We've talked a lot about that today, but let's look forward. What's the vision of 5-StarMan look like? How do you hope to continue to empower men to be, which I love the word you used, champions?
Yeah, I appreciate that, because the vision is the origin. The vision is the origin of what God said, build a movement. So it's not enough for me to build something on me. That means it lives and dies with me. And, we've seen that over and over and over in all types of ministries and efforts. And I knew clearly that God was wanting me to do something that propelled others to greatness. And so with this movement, what we're doing is we're seeing men all of a sudden step into their ministry that they didn't know they were even called to do. We strongly believe that a man who is at work is also at worship, that there's no division between the secular and the sacred, that we're all sacred space. And so when men are coming together and this movement is building, we're seeing something right now that's really has taken us 15 years to lay the groundwork for. But Phil, right now, what we're seeing is exponential. So we're launching a Spanish site for the entire ecosystem of FivestarMan.com. We're launching a young man's version of the 45-day challenge. When I wrote the 45-day challenge, it's kind of like an older man dreaming dreams. So it's kind of like reconditioning, dreaming again, not quitting, not giving up. Well, in a young man's version, it's like having a vision. All right, how do I become the man to, have the wife that I really want to live and build a life with? How do I start a business? What do I need as far as my physical conditioning? What do I need to do now that's going to benefit me long term?
Yeah. So you don't need to wait to have hindsight.
Right.
Get into it. Yeah.
Yeah. You get wisdom either one or two ways. You can have a mentor or you can have experience. And I really recommend, Phil, that you find a mentor, because you don't have enough time in your life to have all the experience that you need. So what we're doing is we're just power packing all of this wisdom and experience from men so that you, man, you can have a head start in your life. You can achieve things. You can say, hey, I don't have to experience the pain of that failure because I learned from this guy's failure and what he overcame, and I can propel past that. And that's what leadership really should be, and that's what we're trying to do.
That's incredible. I love hearing about that. So we talked a lot about everything, the ecosystem. It's been such a good conversation, learning all about 5-Star Man, but still probably just scratching the surface. People probably need to experience it for themselves. If someone's watching this today, how would they get started?
Yeah. Go to FivestarMan.com. There's only one or two things to do. You can either sign in or sign up. So we're not just an informational site. It's an interactive tool for you. And so when you sign up, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you the 5-Star Man book. I'm going to give you the 45-day challenge. And all through the challenge, you're going to get excerpts of every book that we've written and produced to support you through that 45-day challenge. At the end of the 45-day challenge, I'm going to meet you. I'm going to meet you on Zoom or meet you at an event, but we're going to present to you the challenge coin, give you the certificate. We're going to commission you, pray over you, and then see greatness come out of you, and you're going to become a champion. And we're going to give you all of the courses that you need. It's there for you. And then we're going to become a circle of champions with you. And that's what it's all about. It really is about what we're doing is serving you. This is about you becoming the man God originally designed you to be. And all I'm here to do is serve you to make that happen.
Man, such a great conversation that we had today. Thank you for sharing all. Thank you for sharing all the wisdom and everything that 5-Star Man is all about. FivestarMan.com. Make sure you haven't already. Sign up, and let's just be men who don't just talk about it, but who live this out, the purpose that God has designed us to be. Thanks for watching. As men, we hold a spiritual weight that demands directional intent. When culture tries to define what manhood is, it's our responsibility to reclaim who God has called us to be. At 5-Star Man, we've designed a 45-day challenge to help transform you physically, mentally, intellectually, emotionally, financially, and yes, spiritually. It will move us from passivity to purpose, from weakness to strength. Sign up for the 45-day challenge today.
There is a gravitational pull for man to remain grounded on this earth. Yet, there is also an adventurous spirit within that propels him to reach beyond. To reach new heights, a man must become wiser. Spiritually empowered, man must become stronger. Man was not made for the earth. The earth was made for man. Intended not as an anchor, but as a launching pad into his God-given potential. 3, 2, Roger Tower, 1. To become the man intended for the